We got some new leaks as to what to expect from Samsung's Galaxy S25 Ultra. And boy, is this going to be a great phone. These leaks also include these amazing renders of what it's most likely going to look like. And as you're going to hear, I think they've done some tweaks into some parts of the phone experience that are going to make a big difference. All these leaks come courtesy of Ice Universe. You might know them. They are reputable leakers on Twitter. Pretty much whatever Ice says generally happens. And Ice gets pretty detailed. These renders, however, are created by On Leaks and Android Headline. So if you want to show your support, go give them a follow as well. Firstly, it's an extremely gorgeous phone. One of the things that I've noticed from these leaks is that it looks a lot like what Sony was pushing out with the Xperias, which I quite like. They're like utilitarian device phones. I know a lot of people are going to say it looks very similar. Yes, it does, but I like what's happening around the cameras. You know, right now on the S24 Ultra, you've got a more delicate looking camera. It seems that the cameras look a little bit more rugged, a little bit more like you can use them. But yes, of course, it follows the same design language, and I don't think that's a bad thing. When people dunk on Apple and Samsung because they haven't like changed their design all that much, that's not a big deal to me. What really matters to me is what's under the hood, what's in the engine of the car. First thing you'll notice is that the corners seem to be a lot more rounded. The main reason is that the reports are that the S24 Ultra is a little bit too sharp when holding it. I use mine with a cover. I've got a list of those covers linked below. So I don't really have that problem, but I also love boxier finishes. The round corners usually affect the bezel a lot in my experience, but as you'll see that they have really nailed this bezel as well. From the onset, it just does look like a more rugged utilitarian phone. Round corners, by the way, are also great for durability. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is airplanes back in like the old days used to always crash because their windows were square, and when they started going with those oval windows, the planes would implode less unless Boeing was involved. But that just means that the phone's a little bit more durable to drop. So there are benefits. It's more comfortable, more durable. The camera specs have received, in some ways, a minor and a much better jump overall. There's going to be a 50 megapixel ultra wide f1.9, which has got a slower shutter speed than Apple's iPhone 16 Pro Max. Unfortunately, the 3x still a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, and the 5x is going to be 50 megapixels telephoto. So the big bump is with the ultra wide, which, to be honest, it's a lens I like to use. At the moment, it's not the best lens on the phone with low light and that kind of thing. So really glad that they're making those improvements. But ultimately, like Ice Universe has confirmed on Twitter, they are focusing a lot on the video experience. And as a hardcore user of cameras, I think that's a very important direction for them to take. Not only is it just a more useful thing and everybody's going to videos, but getting a good video means that I can film something and then snapshot out of it like a really good image if I want to use that to post to Instagram or share with a friend, because you've got that feature in the gallery. And that when did that feature launch, that snapshot feature? It was S21 when that launched. Stand under correction. But that shows you that video means I can get as much as I can from the actual subject, and I can go back and get stills from that footage. So I'm glad that they're focusing on that. Also, it's where Samsung have kind of lacked, right, in comparison to iPhone. They're going head to head with Apple, and Apple are famous for having a better camera system. Somehow they have managed to drop the weight of this thing and still keep an S Pen. So the S25 Ultra is going to be sitting at 219 grams. The S24 Ultra is currently 232 grams, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max is 227 grams. So you're looking at a phone that's a good 8 grams lighter than the iPhone Pro Max right now. That's nearly 10 grams that's been shaved off somehow. And I know people who have used the iPhone 16 Pro Max have said that it feels a lot lighter than the Ultra. So those 5 grams that they've cut from the S24 Ultra to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you know, it's made a difference. So slimming another 8 grams off of that, it's probably going to make a significant difference. So how are they doing this stuff? This is going to officially make it the lightest flagship smartphone on the market. From a dimensions perspective, you're looking at 162.8 by 77.6 by 8.2 millimeters. The number that you should be focusing on is that initial 162.8 millimeters. That means that it's going to be slightly smaller than all the other range. For some reason, it's getting lighter and smaller, but the screen size is improving. And they're doing some remarkable engineering to get this phone off the ground, if this is true. This is going to make the S25 Ultra the most compact Ultra device that Samsung have made. Here is a render of the bezel and how thin it's going to be. They really are pushing that thinness of the bezel, which I really appreciate. Any shaving and including more of the screen is better, especially because I'm an avid gamer and I edit a lot of videos and record content. The more screen I have that's in front of me, the better. That border is superfluous, right? It doesn't do anything functional for me. Eventually, we want it to go away. The bezel should be the chassis of the device, and it's going to be the industry's smallest bezel across Apple and Samsung devices. This isn't just my opinion, this is even Ice Universe's opinion. I'm going to let you decide what you think. We're not going to see many changes when it comes to the battery. Still going to be a 5,000 milliamp hour, 45 watt fast charging battery. I have done a comparison with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And that's in another video. I'm going to link that in the cards of this so you can go check that one out for yourself. But just to give you an idea of how stock standard this is, I don't think it's actually a big deal. 45 watt fast charging is still incredible, still going to be industry leading in many ways. I know before people jump on me that Xiaomi do have some big ones out there. I get it. But when it comes to the head-on-head battle between Samsung and Apple, Samsung are still winning. 5,000 milliamp hour battery, instead of increasing the weight of the phone, I think a lot of the innovation needs to now be in what they can do with the chipsets and how much energy they can conserve, with those chipsets. That leads us to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, which is going to be the standard chipset on all the devices, according to Ice Universe. So that is awesome. No more Exynos. You're going to be getting top of the range. And I think the big driver for this is AI. Galaxy AI is the big thing. It still is. It will still be next year. And it's going to be the big titan that Apple and Samsung deploy against one another, which is going to be the best service. So we're going to keep our eyes on those services, on how helpful they are, how useful they are, and how well optimized they are for the chipsets. But this is big news because not only is it just a phenomenal chipset that is going to be like, probably the first phone with it in the world, but according to Ice Universe, it's going to surpass Apple's A18 Pro in all aspects. And remember, Apple have jumped from A16 to A18. They skipped A17 just to bring out this chipset to introduce AI to the iPhone 16s. I'm very, very excited about what is possible with this chipset and what it's going to do for image editing and video editing and that kind of thing. One of the other big surprises that have been leaked is that there's going to be satellite connectivity support. Why this is a big deal is that Apple have had it for quite a while right now. When you have no reception, you are able to send emergency services messages over satellite connectivity. So if, say for instance, you're in the mountains or whatever the case is, and it will ping the satellite and be able to help get to you and help get you help, right? So it's an emergency service. It's not something that you'll, make video calls over WhatsApp with, but it's something that I think is a long time needed and is a big safety positive thing, especially if you guys are outdoorsy. I mean, in South Africa, we're pretty outdoorsy. A lot of people are taking their phones into the mountains and that kind of thing. Being able to pinpoint where that phone is and being able to ping for help with satellites is useful. And finally, the expected due date, as if this is a baby, is going to be January 2025. I don't know why. It's usually around that time period, but the rumors are that it's going to be a little bit earlier, not in February. We are going to see about that. Sometimes that stuff happens last minute, but I am extremely excited about what Samsung are doing. They seem to be ticking the right boxes. It seems like an incremental upgrade for the most part, but those increments again are big in the larger scheme of things. I always think about if you're going to upgrade your phone every 2 years, if you've got an S23 Ultra, this is going to feel like a really big upgrade. And there's going to be features in here that are going to make your phone run a lot smoother. Not to mention 7 years of security updates and all those kinds of things that Samsung are so amazing at sorting out. And pre-order bonuses. I'm always on those pre-order bonuses. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm quite keen if you think that I've got something wrong, if you think Ice Universe is wrong, or if you think that Apple are going to win this year. let me know. I'm gonna check you in that other video, so I show you a little bit of a comparison between the two. But until then, cheers.